Hello Hex Kittens, welcome back to Knitting's a Drag. Today, I'm going to show you how to knit this sweet little bird. The wonderful thing about this sweet little bird is it's a very simple toy for beginners. It is all knit stitch, so there's no purling at all, and it's highly customizable for whatever you want to do. Let me show you how to do these right now. To begin knitting the sweet little bird, I'm using size 6 needles and a worsted weight yarn. Now the pattern actually calls for US size 3, but worsted weight in size 6 needles are kind of my go-to for toys when the gauge isn't important. It makes it small enough to really hold all the stuffing, but it's a little bit easier to see, especially on camera. So I'm going to do that, but I will show you the difference in sizes when we're done. Alright, to begin, we're going to make our slip knot. Excellent. And we're going to cast on 6 stitches. So the slip knot counts as our first stitch. Long tail method and cast on the rest of our stitches. Alright, so we have 6 stitches now onto our needle. Now, for the first line of this pattern, we have to knit front back, which is a type of increase, because we're going to double the stitches. So it wants us to knit front back across all 6 stitches, and this is how we do that. So just like with regular knitting, you go right in to the front of the stitch from the left, wrap your yarn counterclockwise, pull it through, but instead of dropping that stitch like you normally would, you come to the back side and you go into the back of the stitch. So you see how that is? Wrap again, pull that loop back through. So now we have 2 loops, and then you drop that off. And you do that front and into the back. We're going to do that all the way across, giving us a total of 12 stitches by the end of this row. You get a lot of good practice with increases in this pattern. And the nice thing about this pattern also is that it's all knit, so there's no purling. So if you haven't done purling yet and you've just done garter stitch, the whole pattern is done in garter stitch. And this was actually the first pattern I did after I made a ton of scarves when I first learned how to knit. This was my first step venturing out, was to make this cute little toy, and I thought it was one of the cutest things ever. Right. We're on our last stitch. Back through the back. And there we go. And now we're going to turn it and knit across this row. So you're going to find it quite common a lot in patterns where there's increases or kind of anything. Like you'll have one row where all the stuff happens and then you get like a break row. So this row is like our break row because you just knit across. There's no increases. There's nothing fancy happening. When you get into lace knitting eventually, everyone appreciates the good, the purl back row where you get to rest and not have to worry about anything special. So that's kind of where you get to do right here. We're just kind of knitting every row, which we should have plenty of practice if you did my first video and you make yourself that nice garter stitch scarf. So you are well familiar with this stitch. Just work our way across. And there we go. We knit all 12 of those stitches, and we move on to the next one. So for the next row of this pattern, the pattern is knit one, knit front, back, across. So you're going to repeat this. You're going to knit one stitch, like normal. There we go. And then we're increasing again. So we're going to knit front, back in this stitch. Just like that. So now there's 3. And then knit one. Back, and knit front backs are a really nice, simple, easy increase. You'll use them a lot as you continue on in your knitting careers. Keep going across this row. Knit one. And knit front back. There we go. Right. One. Knit front back. Last 2 stitches, we're going to knit one. We're going to knit front and back. And then turn our work. And the next row is going to be all knit. So it's easiest to pop out your knits. And I'll see you at the end of this row. Alright, so we knit that row, and then now we're on to row 5, and this one calls for a knit 2, knit front back across. So just kind of like the other row, we're gonna knit 2, just like regular, but then we're going to knit front back. So you go to the back of that stitch, around to get that second stitch, and then you drop it off. And you're going to knit 2, and knit front, and back. Sometimes it's a little tight and it's a little hard. You may have to get a little practice to get used to doing it. And knit front back. Working your way across. Knit 2. And knit front back. Wonderful, you've got this. Jump, 2. Back. And we're on our last one. Our last with a repeat. 2. Knit front back. Alright. There we go. Ta-da. So the next part is you knit 3 rows, so I will come back right after we do that. Rows, we are on our last increase row. So this one is going to be a knit 3, knit front back. So you carry on as you have been. 1, 2, 3, and then knit front back. So we go to the front, go through, go back around, and there we go. Increase. And we're going to knit 3 more. 2, 3, knit front back, where all the magic and the shaping happens. Back again. Two and three. There we go. We're almost at the end of this row. Knit front back, and there we are. We're on the last repeat. We're going to knit 3, and knit front back. There we go. And as you can see, it's kind of starting to puffer up a little bit because that's creating the shaping. You're increasing and kind of making the round shape that will be the body. And the next part is to knit 21 rows of garter stitch. And I will do that off camera and we will be right back. Alright, now that we got all of those rows done, it is time to start the decrease rows. So they work very similar in the way that we did the increasing rows. So for the first row of these, we do knit 3, and now we're doing a decrease called a knit 2 together. So it's just like doing a regular knit, but instead of going into this first stitch, we're going into the second stitch and the first stitch as well. So you come in from the side, work your way through both of them, just like you normally would. Wrap, you bring up that one stitch, and then you drop off the other 2, creating one stitch. So that's how we decrease. You do that all the way across. And then knit 3. And then knit 2 together. Alright, so you go into the left through both stitches. Wrap around. Pull it back through. And drop it off. Continue down until the end with your knit 3, so hard to knit in nails, but I do it because I love you guys, and I love drag, and I love knitting, and I like combining them. And then I will finish up the decrease rows, and then I will show you how to put the body together. Alright, now that the body is done, we've decreased all the rows. We have the last 6 stitches left. We're going to take our scissors and we're going to leave a long tail because we're going to use that for seaming it up. So more is better than not enough. And then we're going to thread our darning needle and work through those. Grab the needle, draw it through to make like a drawstring. So I always like to go through these stitches from this way so that we're following like the curvature and keeps that circle going. So go through each little one that I can. Everything else you can do 2 at a time. The next one. 2, and there we go. Now you can remove the knitting needle. Make sure that's not wrapped around any of the body. And voila! Drew it through like a little drawstring. Now you're gonna stitch up the sides. So you're gonna want to use mattress stitch. And the way mattress stitch works is you under this side, up, and then you do the same on the other side. You pair it up. So they you go underneath and you come up. So you go up a couple stitches. And then you come back around back down to the side and you kind of do the same. So you're always kind of entering in the same side and exiting at the same level. And then it pulls it together nicely. So we're going to do that most of the way up, leaving a little bit of a hole so that we can stuff it, and I'll show you that at the end. So when you've gotten here and you're pretty much where your cast on edge is, kind of let that hang, and then you're going to take some polyfiber film, and we're going to stuff it. Alright, now that's stuffed, I also stuffed in the original tail from the cast on. Now I'm going to take the needle and kind of work my way through some of the outer loops to create another drawstring effect, like what we had done before. Hold it nice and tight. Go in a few more places just for security. Little final knot. Then I will push it in the needle and come out part of the body. Kind of pull it. Take the scissors, and then it disappears inside. So now you have the body done. Now, we're going to make two wings and a tail. So when you're making the wings, you're going to have very similar steps that you did for building the bird's body with similar increases. So I wouldn't show you all that, but how it ends is differently because you're not doing a draw through, you're just going to do a regular bind off. So I just want to give you guys a refresher in case you need it. To bind off, you knit 2 stitches, then you pass the first stitch over the old stitch and off the needle, leaving that one. And you continue all the way to the end. Alright, we've come to the end of the row. Passing that last stitch over, giving you the one stitch. We'll take our scissors and cut a decent sized tail because we'll be using this to affix the wing later. Pull open that loop and draw that yarn through. There we go. Alright, we have one wing, now we need a second one. Now that you have the 2 wings, you're going to want to fold them in half this way, and then seam up the bottom and the side. We're going to do that for both of them. Now that the tail is complete, we're going to do the same thing we did with the wings and fold it this way. And then we are going to seam it across the bind off edge and down over here. And unlike the wings that I left open here, because that's the side that we attached to the bird, the cast on edge is the part that we're going to attach to the body, leaving the splayed out tail feathers. So let me get that all put together. Now you're going to want to attach the pieces to the body, and you want to attach the wings right about in the center part. on opposite sides, and then the tail goes on the back at the bottom. So let me put that on there for you. Alright, so when we want to attach the wing, I like to come in into the body, come underneath, come over the top, and back through. And I do that all the way down, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So then when you're done, it kind of gives you a nice smooth edge, so that when you look at it, the wing can kind of flap nice. And then I take my last bit of tail. You should go back, kind of come out, go the other way. Pull that through. And then I take my scissors. All right. Give it a nice little bit of a tug to make it taut. And poof. That's how we attach the wings and tail. Let me finish putting those on, and then we'll do the face. Now that we have all of the wings and the tail connected, it's time to do some facial features. Now I'm going to use yellow, you can use orange, whatever color you want the beak to be. And start by finding where I want the bottom point of the beak to be. I want it about here. Taking some yellow yarn with my darning needle. And then go to where I want corners to be. That looks like it'll be a good spot. And then come back down over here. Go back in here, so that creates the original triangle. Go in across, making these little embroidery stitches, coming out the same way. Go in like that, so that I can cover this tail. Grab the scissors. Perfect. Now I'm going to take the rest of this, and I left way too much for myself, so we're going to cut on that. That back on. Follow kind of over here. Just because I want to get that top part a little bit more covered. Come in under here. That. Excellent. Trim the excess. Go kind of fiddle with it so that little end falls back in. So you have a cute little beak, and then we're going to do the eyes. Now, the pattern calls for doing French knots, and I'm not a huge fan of doing French knots, so I'm going to show you this way that I like to do. So you take your black yarn, set where you want that eye to be, kind of near the corners of the beak. Voila. Take a little stitch. Bring it in through. Ball that through. And then we'll weave in that final tail. Wind that over. Pull that one down through. And there we go. Got a little face on our little bird. So there we have it. We have a sweet little bird. And if you follow using the size the pattern actually called for with the size 3 needles, it makes it this size. And as you see on this one, you can change it up. I did the stitches for the eyes up and down instead of side to side, so you can make a little higher, brighter eye. Just all depends on the kind of face you want to make. And then, you know, have fun with it. Then I also did a change in here. Halfway up with the brown, I did a change to white to make a little bald eagle look. So the possibilities are endless. You can make tons of little flocks. And that's how you do it. That's all we have for today. Knit your sweet little birds. Tweet them my way on the Twitter. Tweet, tweet. Until next time, stay hexy.